be talking to you guys about our favorite, personal favorite, that is, Marvel movies in the universe. That's of the 22 Marvel movies that have been released in the last 11 years. And we'll put that list of movies up on the screen here for the next several seconds, just in case you are not familiar with all 22 of them
Which,
that are
what is wrong
eligible
with
to
you?
be that are eligible to be pulled from. Um, we are both exempting Endgame from our top five since it just came out. So I guess essentially we're pulling from a list of 21,
Yep.
and we'll each be talking about our own top five and why that movie's in our top five, and it's gonna be in no particular order. So without further ado, we're gonna just jump right in and get this top five rolling.
Well, I mean, I gotta start off with, the OG Iron Man 1. I saw it when it first came out in theaters, and it was just kind of a new experience seeing something like that. It was very dramatic. And Robert Downey Jr. is pretty awesome too, so kind of introduced, the whole Marvel universe, being Iron
Yeah,
Man and all
that's
that.
a good point because I mean honestly, I feel like before this whole thing started that I was way more inclined to be interested in things like Batman and Superman.
Right. Yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of just took over everything, more or less, and
Yeah, really.
draws you in intensely. Well, after that, I gotta go with, another kind of OG with Avengers 1. Just seeing all of them together, even though Spider-Man wasn't there. But,
Wow,
I mean,
spoiler! Spider-Man's not in the first Avengers.
hey, shut up.
Fine.
And I think also we have a couple similar ones. I think we both chose Avengers 1 in our list because it's just
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, the hype for that first
And
Avengers movie was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I remember all those years ago. I lived in a dorm at the time,
yeah.
and that's all we would talk about the whole semester leading up to that fine May night.
Yeah, I don't remember at all. But yeah. Did I see it with you guys? I don't remember.
I don't think you did, but that movie, it's in my top five because it's just got outside of like that being the most action among the first set of Avengers movies.
That's true. Yeah.
It's definitely like the most humor they packed into one of them. Just little subtle things.
Up
in
until
that
that point.
like,
I
correct.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, for example, when like Tony Stark's standing on the flight deck on the Quinjet, and he's like, "That man's playing Galaga."
Yeah.
Just like little subtle things, or like when Thor and Hulk finish beating up some nubs, and then Hulk just punches Thor into the other room because he was
Yeah.
good.
that one was close to being on my top list, but it didn't make the cut, but it almost did. I'll just say that. But
Yeah, right. Like those moments were hilarious, but we'll talk about our specific
Yeah.
favorite moments after we're done with the movie.
Also, I threw in Thor Ragnarok. Now I do have some discrepancies with Ragnarok, but I think overall it was just so awesome that I had to put it in my top 5. So just because of how it, introduces Thor without the hammer, just still being a god, literally. And
Yeah.
that to me is
I
just
mean,
kind of an awesome moment, when they kind of flash
are
back.
you the god of hammers?
Yeah, I love that scene. Are you Thor, the god of hammers? And of course he has to lose an eye to be like his dad, and then his dad is like, "No, you're stronger." But
I got a hammer for you, son.
okay.
Oh, sorry.
So you just had to go that
Yeah.
direction with it. And then, as my fifth one, again in no particular order, I put Infinity War on there. We left out Endgame on our lists because it's brand new basically, and initial reactions. We got to kind of let it simmer in and see it a few times probably, like we have the others to really
Yeah.
make an educated guess.
We just kind of assume most people are going to put Endgame in their lifetime top 3.
Right. So we just left
But
it out just for
you,
the sake of that.
you've listed 4. You've got one more to go.
I do.
And I believe we also share this one
We
in
do.
Captain America Civil War.
Yes. Avengers
So go ahead and tell us about that
1.5 or 2.5. I mean, Civil War, like I said, it encapsulated all the feelings of a Avengers movie without being an Avengers movie. And I think
Right.
that part of it is just, obviously I like Spider-Man, so, it introduced Spider-Man into it, which is pretty cool. And
Yeah, and
it
that
also
airport
brought
scene
in
makes the movie, I think.
yeah,
Just
for
like,
sure.
That's super epic.
Yeah. It's almost hard to remember anything else about that movie because it's just awesome. That fighting scene between everybody and
We're gonna segue into my top 5 now, kind of since we can kind of use Civil War to bridge, since I have that in my top 5. Something that makes me really like this movie is that I was a big fan of playing through the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games way back on PS2 and 360, and in the second edition of this game, something similar to what's going on in Civil War is taking place in the video game, where the Avengers more or less split sides, and some of them are signing the accords with the government, and some of them are not, and that's the exact same thing that's going on in the game. And it's Captain America is the leader of one team, and Iron Man's the leader of the other team.
oh, I had no idea
So for
that
me,
was
it
a
was
thing.
yeah. So for me, playing through this game and loving playing through this game, it was really cool to see that they kind of they did this similar concept in the movie. In addition to everything you talked about with how many heroes are in there fighting one another,
Right.
but that airport scene is just it's just epic, seeing everyone go head to head. So from there, I'll touch back on Avengers 1. I already said that was in my top as well, and I already listed all the reasons why. From there, I go a little different, I would like to think, as far as at least
Yeah.
my next 2 that I'm going to talk about.
You definitely skew
Yeah.
away from
I like to think that not a lot of people share these next 2 if they were to make their own personal top 5s, but for me, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is in my list, but not the first one. Not that there's anything wrong with the first one, but for me, 2 was just it's cool to see them kind of like they kind of had like this family vibe to them, but they were still dicks to each other, which was funny to me. I mean, I enjoyed it, and seeing Kurt Russell
be a planet.
play. Be a planet, be the celestial being is the term they use in the movie. But one of the reasons that this is actually was a controversial, emotional standpoint for me on this movie was we knew that all the Guardians were going to be joining the Avengers in the universe. They were all going to meet up at some point. And we were wondering how that was going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And in Guardians 2, Star-Lord gets all of these new powers, and I was really banking on him being able to use them permanently, finding a way to conquer his father and still maintain this overwhelmingly abundant amount of power that he was toying around with in the movie. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But the movie's still good because they play a lot of old music.
That is a good part of that.
That's one of the best things about any of the Guardians. Baby Groot definitely makes it entertaining as well.
How can you hate Baby
So-
Groot? I mean, come on.
One of the few moments you'll hear me say in my life that something is cute. But I will give it to Baby Groot and the cute.
I can attest to that. I've known John for over a decade, and I don't think I've ever heard him say that.
Yeah, so that's my Guardians point of view. The next one, now this one for sure, I seriously doubt anyone has in their tops. Ant-Man and Wasp makes my list, and a big reason is just because of Paul Rudd in general. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. Definitely probably in my top 3 favorite actors ever.
He is
And
pretty
for him to be in a superhero role, I was so excited when he got announced in Ant-Man 1 to be joining the universe. And this movie was cool because I liked seeing Hank Pym be a kind of an asshole to him in a humorous way. And a reason I'll get to later about why this movie's in there, there's just an absolute oh shit mega moment that I remember sitting in my living room watching Ant-Man and Wasp for the first time, and I just all by myself making sound effects. It was cool to see him get to be 852,000 feet tall.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just setting him up for he's going to be able to sustain that ability in the next Avengers movie, as he did. So from there, the final one on my list is Thor, the very first Thor. And there's a lot of things about the movie that I didn't like when I first saw it. I actually was pretty unhappy with it the first time I saw it in theaters, but the more and more I've watched it, the more and more I've come to love it. My first impression was they just made him look like a bitch, almost. When they stripped him of his power and sent him to Earth, it kind of just beat the shit out of him. And It was like, they didn't really make him seem too cool, but the more and more I watch the movie, the more and more like little things pick up on, and that was like 2011. Now we're 2019, and we've seen Thor in 5 or 6 movies since then, and it's cool to see how he interacted and talked to people back then versus how he does now, and it's almost funnier back then because he was completely ignorant to the way that he was communicating with mortals, etc.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to that, I think it's pretty good. The writing, I think, deserves a lot of credit for that, as far as the growth of the character Thor and how he adapted to being around, humans.
Right. Great character development. Kenny, if you're listening out there, character development. I'm a big advocate for character development in all films. So that's my take on Thor. One of the scenes in that movie, when he was trying to pull that hammer out of the ground, when he was still considered unworthy, they made his arms look like he was the largest human being in the history of the world, and I definitely went to the gym and trained biceps like 9 times that week after I saw that scene.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people who work out were doing the same thing as you.
Yeah. Like, we gotta be like Thor, just keep doing them. I don't care if it's leg day, shut up.
So yeah, those are our top 5 movies each, in no particular order. I mean, you can let us know down in the comments what your top 5 movies are, or how much you hate our choices, because we know some of you probably have discrepancies with John's, because they suck.
Wow.
But yeah, just
Why do I come here?
Let us know in the comments, and if you liked this video, feel free to, subscribe and share, comment. If you have any video ideas that you'd like to see us do, you can let us know in the comments below.
We'd like to hear from you guys what your top 5s are as well, if you want to comment those below.
Right.
Go to town. Feel free. This is the end game. Let's discuss stuff.
I get it, because it's the name of the movie that came out.
Avengers.
Bye forever!